lovely Libra, how are you doing? So welcome to the 2025 horoscope for March. So this is quite a packed month. You might have heard astrologers say, oh my God, this is so scary, or there's so chaotic and a lot going on. And there is a lot going on, but it's nothing to be afraid of and nothing to be apprehensive about. We have the tools to deal with this as always, but let's just get into it. Also note that there is a transit that is happening, which is Neptune ingressing into Aries in your 7th house on the 30th of March. And it's very important not only for you as a Libra, but also for the world, because it gives civil war / pandemic vibes. So it's a little bit sort of dicey, and I want to give it the time and space it deserves. So I'm going to do a completely separate video on that. So if I don't touch on it too much, that's why. So on March the 1st, we have a Venus retrograde in Aries in your 7th house. So Libra, you are ruled by Venus in the 7th house. So this is already going to be quite significant for you. Venus retrograde makes us reevaluate our relationships, our commitments, marriage and relationships. But also it really makes us think about our appearance and our material possessions too. So for example, things like, I know this is a material possession, a necklace, and how we're interacting in the world with our material possessions. Do we really need as much as we think we do? Kind of makes me think about overconsumption as well a lot of the time. But really this is focusing on relationships and our responsibility in relationships, but also how we are setting our standards as well. And particularly in that 7th house, you could potentially have an ex return. This doesn't happen for everybody, but if you're open to it and receptive, sometimes exes do return during this period, especially in the 7th house. On the 3rd of March, Mercury will be entering Aries in the 7th house. So Mercury is the planet of communication and productivity, and Aries is much more fast moving. And this can be very sort of, I said something in the heat of the moment to a loved one, specifically in a relationship or marriage, and you feel like you can't take it back. So you might want to be a little bit careful about saying something that you'll regret, or trying to move too quickly on something, like sign a contract for something, or just trying to get something nailed down when another person in a relationship might not want that. From the 14th to 28th, we have a Mercury retrograde in Aries in the 7th house for you. So Mercury retrograde will bring miscommunication issues, especially in romantic relationships. So that's the name of the game this month for you, Libra. But also issues with traveling and delays, generally just issues with technology as well. So specifically with Mercury retrograde is not very good for any legal documentation or writing anything down in a contract with that 7th house. So I wouldn't be writing anything down in a contract. I wouldn't be agreeing to any legality or anything like that. Just basically take a step off the gas and try not to commit to anything here. Reevaluate commitments. Don't necessarily do anything here. Then on the 29th of March, we have a Mercury retrograde that goes into Pisces, and that will be in your 6th house. So this will bring about potentially issues with physical health. So for example, delays in any issues with healing or chronic illness, inflammation, specifically with sport and exercise, because Aries is about sport and exercise. It's the warrior mentality. So you could find there's issues with that as well as miscommunication with any co-workers or anybody that you have in the work environment as well. On March the 14th, we have a Virgo lunar eclipse in your 12th house, which is a very deep and spiritual house to have a Virgo lunar eclipse in, well, to have any eclipse in really. So you could be releasing any damaging attachments or negative ways of thinking, perhaps addictions. And addictions aren't always what we think they are. They don't have to be like drugs or alcohol. Sometimes they can be patterns of thinking, addictions to people, binge eating, that kind of thing. Any kind of attachment you feel is not serving you. And you could also be releasing any issues related to poor mental health and poor physical health, because these can interact with each other. And of course, Libras are really focusing on physical health this year with the 6th house and any challenges with weight loss and chronic illness. Could also be going to therapy or deciding to do something therapeutic, as well as reinventing a sleep routine perhaps, because you might have had insomnia. On March the 27th, Venus will be retrograding in Pisces this time in your 6th house. So this really is thinking a lot about the aesthetics of your physical health, how you look, specifically when it comes to summer and trying to look good. I had someone comment the other day saying, you're always telling me to lose weight. And I'm like, I'm not telling you to do anything, and I'm definitely not calling you fat. I'm just saying that physical health tends to be linked to the 6th house. And if I'm saying, hey, we're all thinking about summer bodies, maybe I'm projecting my own insecurities on that. Maybe let's just say that. but normally around summer people think more about getting fit, don't they? So that kind of energy comes through. And Pisces is all about, you know, being a bit delusional as well. So thinking that maybe, you know, I want to look hot, you know, I want to look good. So that energy can come through as well. But you could also be rethinking your commitments with co-workers as well, and how much you are putting your attention and also giving some personal information to co-workers too. On the 29th of March, we have an Aries solar eclipse in the 7th house, and this is going to be a whole new game, a whole new experience when it comes to relationships. If you're watching as a Libra sun and you have a Virgo rising, for example, in particular, due to that first house Virgo lunar eclipse and the Pisces concentration going throughout the month, you're really focusing on commitments quite strongly. And this is also something that you've been focusing on all month with the Venus retrograde in Aries in your 7th house. So this could be to do with the current relationship, or it could be to do with an ex. You might actually think the ex is better. You might favor them a little bit because you're like, you know what I got ain't doing it. And you know, you'll eventually sort of release all of that kind of concentrated energy with the Libra full moon in the middle of April as well. And then also on the 30th of March, as I mentioned, Neptune will ingress into Aries in your 7th house. Neptune is the planet of spirituality, and it's very larger than life. It's a fantastic planet, really. And then Aries, Neptune doesn't do as well in Aries as in Pisces, for example, because Aries is not the most spiritual of signs, and it's very fast forward moving and wanting to do things as well. It's really like, hey, I'm going to take all the spiritual knowledge that Pisces has given me and I ain't going to take it anymore. So it's kind of like, again, Civil War vibes, and really just putting everything into action in the 7th house. That is, you know, the need for a spiritual connection, a deeper bond with a relationship, and something that is just not superficial. You know, it could also feel like you're moving towards I don't know why I get the vibe of like, you know, tantric sex. It's the idea of like having a physical relationship with somebody that is just so emotional and so supercharged that it just makes you feel like, I just feel fulfilled in my sacral chakra, and I just feel good in that way as well. So, you know, March is quite heavy. There's a lot going on, but there's nothing to be afraid of. So maybe drop a comment and let me know. Are you intrigued, excited, apprehensive for the month? What are you feeling? Does this resonate? What do you think about some of these transits for like global events? Like, yeah, let me know what you think. And hopefully you enjoyed that video, and I'll move on to Scorpio.